Hey guys, when I first started playing Twilight Imperium online, I wasn't really sure how everyone was going about picking races and building out the map. And as I've played more and more, I've noticed that this is more of a source of confusion for folks. I wanted to go over what is called backdrafting, which is actually a combination of drafting plus competitive map building. And this is the standard for how games are run. If there's no explicit mention of what they're doing, you can assume this one. Then I want to go over Mantis, which is actually a combination of drafting plus Mantis map building. I'm going to start the video by going over drafting because both Mantis and Backdraft do this the same way. Then I'm going to go over competitive map building, and then I'm going to finish it off with Mantis map building. Just as a brief mention, if you hear Frankendraft, that is a really fun way to play where you basically create your own homebrewed race as you're playing the game. But as a new player, even if you're just new to playing online, I would avoid that for now. Sometimes when you're drafting, people just kind of accept the seat that they pick initially. But just to let you know, otherwise, there's a random little token that's given to you, and this will tell you what color it is that you need to switch to for your seat. When you're changing colors, if you don't see the one that you have available, just give it a second for the player to remove themselves from that seat so you can grab it. And when you select that color, you may have the little token still available. You can go ahead and just throw this in the graveyard. From there, you should just ask if they're finished setting up the bag for you, which will match the color of your new seat, and you can grab that, or they might just end up dealing you the tiles. In either case, you're going to go up to Zone Hidden, which you can also get to by pressing F3, and create a little secret area for you. As you're creating this, make sure you don't left click the zone because that'll get rid of it immediately. What you want to do is right click, go to the little gear icon, and make sure that see-through is unselected so none of the other players can see what's under there. From there, you can just go back to grab or hit F1 and click anywhere in order to close that prompt. If you end up with a bunch of tiles in your hand, what you're going to have to do is move them around a little bit because you're going to find these faction tokens which can sometimes hide. What you want to do is move all of those to the very far left. That way they're not hiding behind anything for future reference. When you're moving things out of your hand, other players can see what you're moving. So you go ahead and hit F on all of these in order to make them hidden as you're moving them around. The back of the tile is what determines whether it's a red or a blue tile. And this is really important because you'll commonly hear tiles referred to as red or blue. Once you have your factions flipped over as well, you can start moving these back into the bag. Be very careful that you put it right over the bag or sometimes it'll have difficulty going in. What you're going to end up with in the bag as you search through it is 3 blue tiles and 2 red tiles, along with 2 factions. You're going to want to find the planet with the most resources on it and grab that. But if you grab that and try to put it directly into your hand, you're probably just going to drop it onto the table for everyone else to see. So you don't want to do that. Instead, what you want to do is just move that planet to the very first position in the bag, close the bag search, and then right click the bag and hit draw. Once you're finished, you're going to want to go ahead and grab your bag by holding the left mouse button and moving that to the player on your right, also known as counterclockwise. Once you're finished with that, you're going to want to wait until the player on your left is finished. Grab the bag that they handed to you that should match their color, search the bag, put the tile that you want in the first slot, go back, closing the search and drawing straight from the bag. When you're done, pass that bag to the player on your right. You're going to keep repeating this process until at the end of this, you're going to end up with 3 blue tiles, 2 red tiles, and 2 factions. In this case, I'm going to go ahead and grab my 3rd blue tile. So taking a look at this, I already have my 3 blue back tiles. So as I look into this bag, there is a planet that I would really like to grab. Unfortunately, I can't because I've already hit the maximum amount of blue tiles I can have. So instead, what I'm going to do is go ahead and grab Emirates of Akan, which would be the first faction pick for me. Next up is the green bag, which I'm just going to grab Federation of Soul from. As I open up the white bag, I see that there's L1Z1 and another blue tile. The problem is that I already have 3 blue tiles and 2 faction abilities, so I can't take anything here. If you are able to take something, you must do so. However, in this case, I just can't. So I just go ahead and grab this bag and keep passing it to the right. As I look at the purple bag, I don't really want either of these. I'd really like to hold out for one of those nice new red tile planets that's in the expansion, but I don't really have a choice. I do have the ability to pick up a red tile, so I must grab one of the ones in the bag. Sometimes you do have to be a little patient for some of the bags to go around, but what you should end up with is 3 blue back tiles, 2 red back tiles, and 2 factions like you see on the screen. Something that was really hard for me to grasp my head around was the concept in competitive map building of the 2 placement. You start off randomly determining, in this case purple, and then going around clockwise, and each person gets to place 1 tile. The last player gets to place 2 tiles back to back, and then it goes counterclockwise back to the purple player, who also gets to place 2 tiles back to back. Then you go back around clockwise, blue places 2, back to purple to place 2, so on and so forth until the map is built. Following our example here, purple would end up starting off by placing 1 tile, and then we go around the table, each placing 1 tile until it goes to blue. If you notice, each of the players are placing in the innermost ring. You always have to place in the innermost ring that you're able to, starting with the blue ring, then the orange ring, and then finally the purple ring. As blue places their tiles, as soon as they place their first one, the second one can go anywhere in the second ring that they want. For instance, you could block off red from getting to Mechatol Rex, but I'm going to be a little nicer and I'm going to put this near me. This is a bit more of a defensive move, which the red bordered tiles prevent another red bordered tile from being placed next to them, meaning another player can't do what I could have potentially just did to red to me. From here, we're going to continue building out the map, always placing in the innermost ring that you're able to, and the last player in each rotation being able to place 2 tiles back to back. There is an exception to the rule of being able to place a red border tile next to another red bordered tile, and that is the case of a player having no other choice but to place a red border tile next to another red bordered tile, like this. For picking factions, I've seen this done 2 ways. You either leave one of your factions into a bag and go around one at a time, revealing them, or reveal them all simultaneously. Alternatively, I've also seen people just go around the board and choose a faction one at a time. And this is really relevant in this case. Like if I wanted to play Hakan, for instance, and white or purple ended up playing Mintak, I would maybe reconsider that choice. For Mantis map making, you're going to end up taking everything that you have and putting it into your bag. If you want to be a little bit smarter than me, go ahead and put your faction token aside. I don't know why I did that. In this style of map building, you still randomly determine the first player to place, in this case purple, and proceed clockwise, each placing 1 tile at a time. Unlike competitive, you still keep going clockwise, each placing 1 tile at a time until the entire map is built. What separates this from competitive is that you each have your own area to build in, so there's a little less strategy involved where you can't play your tile in another opponent's space. For your first tile, you just want to go over to your bag, hit R a couple times to randomize it, and pull one out of the bag, and this will go in the first position marked on the screen. Generally, I see Mantis played with 1 redo or mulligan. Basically what that means is if you pull a tile that you really don't like, you can set it aside, shuffle your bag, and draw another one instead, but you only get to do that once for the entirety of the map building process. In my opinion, you would only use that in the space next to Mechatol if you see your best planet tile there, even if it means having a supernova blocking your way to Mechatol Rex. The next tile that you draw gets a little more interesting because after you draw it, you get to choose between 2 spaces. You can either choose the spot right in front of your home system or the spot to the top left of it. So in this case, because Abyss Freya is my best planet, I want to drop that thing right in front of my home system. For the next tile, we are still building out the middle ring. So whichever tile you get, you have to drop in the section that you didn't pick previously, which is to the top and to the left of your home system. Because in this case, I drew a planet tile that I don't want next to my opponent, I'm going to go ahead and use that mulligan previously discussed to grab something else. I end up getting pretty lucky and grabbing a red tile. If you're like me and ended up putting your faction tiles into the bag, just put them to the side if you draw them. At this point, you're building in the outer ring, so you have a choice between the left and the right system to your home system. Ideally, you should have your best planets remaining, so they're as close as possible to you. For the last round, you're just going to draw your remaining tile and place it in the spot that's left for you. Something I didn't really emphasize well is that if you draw a red bordered tile like a supernova or asteroid field, you do have to avoid placing it next to another red bordered tile if you can. However, because Mantis restrains the options that you have for placing your tiles, you do tend to generally see red border tiles next to each other more often. I got rid of that hidden zone just by giving it a little left click. Faction picking is a bit of a mixed bag, similar to competitive. I've seen people do all reveal it once just by leaving one in the bag. Go around one at a time, revealing but committing to what's in the bag. I've also seen people go around one at a time and choosing what faction they want to play and getting to see what their previous players have picked first. It's especially relevant maybe if you want to play a con and min-tax your neighbor. There's some links I'll leave in the description below for Discord groups if you're looking for people to play with. It's a very welcoming community. I don't personally play this way at home. I may make a video on that in the future if anyone's interested, but you could do it this way. I hope this helps someone out there or you enjoyed watching the video. Either way, I hope you have a good day.